You're listening to the Public Health Entrepreneurs Podcast with your host, Dr. Charlotte Huntley. Understanding AI can empower communities. My guest on this episode is a public health consultant and entrepreneur and part of a multidisciplinary team in her business. She joins me to explore the critical intersection of AI literacy and public health. Welcome to Public Health Entrepreneurs, the podcast for visionary leaders who are ready to transform public health and healthcare through innovation. I'm Dr. Charlotte Huntley, and as a public health entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience in healthcare and public health, I understand the unique challenges and opportunities that come with bridging multiple disciplines. I'm excited to introduce you to my guest on this episode. I've known her for several years and even provided her with business coaching support a few times as well. She's genuinely a kind, thoughtful, intelligent professional with a sweet sense of humor. I'm sure you will enjoy getting to know her through our conversation. Let me introduce her to you now, and then I'll connect our conversation. Zainab Shipchandler is a public health education consultant who is passionate about equipping communities with the knowledge and skills to navigate health information and services in the age of AI. As director of ZRF Group, she brings her background as a master certified health education specialist to a multidisciplinary team of experts in AI and medicine. She collaborates with clients nationwide to build professional and community capacity in AI and health literacy through workshops, speaking, and curriculum development. Zainab recently became a certified lactation counselor to advocate for new parents during their infant feeding journeys. Her lived experiences as a patient, mother of young children, and trusted resource in her community inform and inspire her work. I'm excited for you to meet Zainab through our conversation on this episode. Afterwards, please visit the show notes page at publichealthentrepreneurs.com to find links to connect with her. The link to the show notes page will also be provided in the description of this episode. Let's connect my conversation with Zainab right now. Well, hello, Zainab. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Hello, Dr. Huntley. Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. We were chatting and catching up for a little while before hitting record and actually having way too much fun. I was like,
we should get to this podcast now.
Yes. But, it's been a while, so we needed some time to catch up on things. And so it is really great. So I do appreciate you taking some time coming onto the podcast and doing an official checkup with me and the audience and just kind of chatting about AI literacy.
Yeah.
So why don't you just take a moment, tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Zainab Shipchandler. I'm a public health consultant and entrepreneur. My background's in health education, and over time, I have developed an interest in digital literacy and now AI literacy. So as the director of ZRF Group, that's what we try to do is promote health and AI literacy so that people can navigate this new era of health information and services in the age of AI. So yeah, that's kind of the overview.
That is a great summary. I think it's interesting to see because we're on this journey, things pivot and shift, but you've always had this passion for communication, for literacy. I think this is very natural pivot. Now, I say pivot, maybe niche for you. I've known you for a while, so I'm like following the path, but in this time where people are already using AI, we're aware of it, we know it's going to be around, and some are still a little afraid. For a lot of reasons, uncertain. I think this is just a great place for you to lock into and also a great time for this conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's timely. It's all around us. And I think it's just going to become more and more ubiquitous. So it's very important, I think, just to keep your eyes and ears open, right? The pros and the cons.
Exactly. What inspired you personally, professionally, to focus on the intersection of AI literacy and public health?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of us came to know about generative AI with the release of ChatGPT. And that's kind of when I came to know about it. And I had the added bonus of one of my sisters, Rukaya, was starting her AI literacy newsletter for moms called Ami.ai. And I was kind of helping her, giving editing and things like that. So through time reviewing that newsletter and consuming that information, I was like, oh, hey, maybe I should try it out. And I started using, specifically ChatGPT. That's what I knew to help with day-to-day tasks, put in your to-do list and tell it saying, hey, what do I need to do for the next week to get this all done?
That's right.
So she gave tips as a mom, meal planning or all the different things that you can do with it. So I saw the potential, right? I saw how it could be a really helpful tool. But through the work that I'd been doing in digital health literacy, I was kind of scared because we already were seeing the impact of social media, the way misinformation, disinformation was able to proliferate during the COVID-19 pandemic and until today, right? And so knowing that this is a new tool where people can literally have a video of anyone saying anything, right, in their voice. And if you don't have that level of AI literacy, you can be convinced that that's what they're actually saying. And this is not a fantasy, like this is happening today. So
Yeah.
I could see that on the horizon and it is happening. So I think I was seeing the pros and the cons and just really realizing that it's my professional responsibility and personal responsibility to be tapped in to build my own AI literacy, essentially.
Yeah, I like that. I remember hearing you, or maybe I read this, but you describe AI literacy as potential super or social determinant of health. So
Yes.
super in like quotes.
Right.
Would you explain or elaborate a little bit more about AI literacy's impact on social determinants like
Yeah.
education, empowerment, or employment, or built environments, et cetera?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was doing more of the digital health literacy work, this is a paper that I came across. It was by Siek et al. I hope I'm saying that right, in NPG Digital Medicine. And they argued that digital literacy, so like having the access to digital devices and the skills to use them, was related to all the social determinants of health. So things like job applications or college applications, right? You have to fill them online, or applying for health insurance, or accessing a telehealth appointment, right? All of those things became very digital. And so
Yeah.
those skills impacted whether or not you could achieve having a certain job or being able to access health information or resources. And now we're seeing how AI is being integrated in all those same things, right? Students are going to start having AI tutors if they don't already have them. Workplaces are going to expect people to have certain level of AI fluency. I think we might possibly talk about the difference between fluency and literacy, but then it's going to be the similar thing where knowing about AI and how it works and how it doesn't work is going to impact all these other things that impact health, that we know impacts health even more than doctor appointments and our genetics. It's where we live, right? So just to touch on the built environment, there's been a lot of information, especially here in Texas. I've heard a lot about it, is data centers that host the servers that are used to kind of run all these AI systems. Those are being built sometimes in places where water is already scarce and they're using up a lot of water and power. So that's also an environmental health issue, right? That impacts people's health and lives. So it's affecting everything, really.
Yes. I remember I was at a conference chatting with a colleague, and they mentioned that about the use of water.
Yeah,
And they were like, instantly the wall went up. She's like, I'm not using AI because, and then
exactly.
it was like the first time I had really heard that
Right.
about the massive amount. And I don't have the numbers, but
Mhm.
the amount of water used to support the systems
Right.
where they're housing. I don't know. So like we can celebrate it, get excited, but then we have to be concerned about, on the
It
other hand,
happens every day. I wake up and I feel a different way. So I think that's the key, is AI literacy isn't just for people who really are excited about AI and want to use it and want to be pros at AI. I was just talking to my sisters about this. Like, you don't even have to use AI necessarily to have AI literacy, to be able to know what, what we need to be careful about. Like, you can still educate community members on, like, hey, AI can make things up. That's
yeah.
part of AI literacy, is to just know that it can be wrong or that it
Yeah.
does use up power and water. So I think we want people to have the basic fundamental language to be able to use to be a part of these conversations.
So I guess this is a good time to answer the question. So AI fluency versus
Right.
AI literacy. What's the difference?
What's the difference? Yeah. So fluency, I would say, is more so like using the tools, right? going into a tool like ChatGPT. I'm using it because it's I think most recognizable.
Right.
And so people can just ask a question, right? It understands language in quotes and it can
Mm-hmm.
provide an output and you can pretty much have a natural conversation. So that kind of makes you fluent in using that tool because you're using it, you're doing it. Whereas the literacy piece is more so understanding its strengths and limitations, being able to maximize benefits and minimize risks, and really understanding like what is going on, behind the curtain, so to speak. So the way we like to explain it is kind of like reading a nutrition label, right? You can go and eat all sorts of things, but are you allergic to that thing? Is it too much sodium? Should you be avoiding that for your diet? So if you're able to take a look at the nutrition label for a food item and say, hey, like I'm allergic to this ingredient or this is too much added sugar for me, like that's you being very mindful about what you're using and consuming. So that's a similar thing we're trying to promote for how we use AI.
Okay. Then my next question is kind of leads us perfectly into a workshop that you and your sisters have created. So, well, also tell us a little about your sisters, but
Oh, yeah, yeah.
how did you all this collaboration? Because you and I were chatting about
Yes.
sisters. I can't imagine creating something like this with my sisters. So that's just me and my dynamic. But tell me a little bit about this collaboration with your sisters and what the workshop is.
Yeah, so I talked about Ruqayya a little bit. She has a background in AI. She worked in AI sales and was very at the forefront of when generative AI came out, like I said, with educating people about AI literacy, specifically moms, but I think anyone can benefit from the education that she has out there. And then my other sister, Fatima Shipchandler, she is a family medicine physician, currently a resident. And so she was doing AI in her own way. She was doing these basically like kind of interviewing her colleagues about the implementation of AI scribes in their office, which is doing the note taking for the doctors and getting their feedback. And she just saw a gap in their knowledge of how AI worked. And then how I was coming to understand AI and the need for education, even of the communities that we're serving. And having an AI expert on our team, that was very convenient, having Ruqayya Akbari as our AI expert. Like we were able to bring all of our perspectives and essentially develop some education that's tailored to health professionals and accurate in terms of the AI information, but also relatable in terms of where they're coming from in the medical realm.
And is it available now or is it something that's coming out?
So this is something we've piloted it for Fatima's residency program, and it was very well received. So this is ready to go. It's a virtual workshop, but we're open to if people want to do it live in person, if this is something that people would want to have on a virtual platform. Like we have the content ready to go, and however people want to have it, we're totally open to that. I think one thing that's a very bonus of our workshop is that we, at the end, apply our framework of how to evaluate AI tools to tools that you might be interested in or that might be already available to you. So in that specific workshop, we went through ChatGPT, asked all the questions in our framework about ChatGPT, and compared it to like a version of ChatGPT that was specific to their organization and seeing like the comparison. So I like to do that. That's like an interactive moment too. It's like, hey, let's apply what we've learned. If you come across this tool, what would you ask and what would be your response?
So correct me if I'm wrong here. From what I'm understanding, the workshop is going to, there's a lot of value in this, but helping the user to really assess the different AI tools that are available and teaching them how to assess it. Because ultimately they have to make the decision of what their organization needs. So even
Right.
if it's an entrepreneur or if you work somewhere, if you're a part of another organization, whatever you're looking to use to be able to assess and determine, is this the best tool for me or us or this use? Is that right?
Pretty much. Yeah, that's basically what it is. We just want to advocate for people to use these tools responsibly. And you kind of hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I think what I hear a lot in terms of concerns around privacy
Yes.
and my consulting organization or firm, I support a lot of tribal organizations
Right.
where access to data is, I think, a higher concern than maybe publicly available data
Right.
that would be downloaded.
Right.
But what I hear often as it relates to AI, the concern is how do we know where's the privacy? What's going to happen if we upload this into whatever AI tool?
Yeah, that's one of my biggest concerns. That's why I personally am very cautious about my own AI use personally and professionally. Like, I'm probably using AI less than a lot of other people, honestly, because I'm just like, I'm scared. I don't want them to have my data. But there's different levels to it. Like, there are tools where if you pay for the version that doesn't use your data to take it back and train their model, that can add a level of privacy. Maybe it's a model that like stays on your servers. It doesn't go anywhere else. I can't claim to be the AI expert, but I know enough to say, hey, like, I know this is not safe, or I think this is safe and safe in these contexts, right? So I think there's a lot of nuance. And what you're bringing up about, tribal communities or indigenous communities, it brings up a really important point. If you don't mind me kind of going into another
No, yeah,
topic
please.
of the impact on communities, that don't have a lot of data out there, that they're not represented always in the data that exists, and that a lot of times these tools can create like very stereotyped representations, like of people, or descriptions of, like, if you say, oh, I want to have, develop some patient education material for an indigenous population, like, it might give you something that's totally culturally insensitive. And I think that's also something that we are all really mindful of as public health professionals and entrepreneurs, is we have to show up and have the most culturally relevant and acceptable information. And so we absolutely have to be so mindful of the images that are being developed, or the content that's being developed, to make sure, we're using AI responsibly, essentially, and not perpetuating harmful biases or stereotypes.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that we've incorporated AI tools and again in my consulting practice in a very intentional and deliberate way. And I invest quite a bit in trying to understand and make the best decisions about, what the team can use or not use. And I actually we have some pretty strict rules about, we have a short list.
Right.
These are the tools that we use within this business. And then we have a lot of SOPs around how we use them. So what
Right.
we will use it for and what we won't use it for. And that just helps me to ensure a level of quality while being able to benefit. And there's just some lines some data that,
Right.
Our client data will never go into an AI
Right.
tool, but some things that we will use it for and some things that we won't.
Sounds like you're already ahead of the curve, Dr. Huntley, in terms of your own
Well, I guess
AI literacy and responsible AI use. I think you have that awareness. So I really appreciate how you're going about it.
I think that was part of the allure of having you here on the podcast also, because I know what I kind of went through in terms of my own comfort level to make the decision for the company. But I think having this conversation with you is really helpful for my audience to sort of having the conversation outside. And if maybe they're entertaining things in their mind, not sure, of what the options are, like even knowing that this workshop is available in a way that could, help them think through or process through, I think is a value.
Yes. And we're really interested also in having these conversations, providing more of that information in general, because it is really important information that I would like people to know. But I think the workshop can really tailor it to certain audiences. And that's what I'm excited about, is like AI literacy really is for everybody. It's for doctors, it could be for public health professionals, health educators, entrepreneurs, moms, caregivers.
Right.
Every person is going to be interacting with AI. So all of us need to have certain level of AI literacy, especially when it comes to the things you care about and the work that you're doing.
Yeah. So if you had a crystal ball, then you can, see it. Let's just pretend. How do you see the role of public health entrepreneurs evolving, at this intersection of AI and health literacy over the next, 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think it's exciting because I think we are in that position of being subject matter experts in our own realms. And we're also in a position of being more nimble and agile than I think others have the privilege of being, because of our, having more control over our organizations. So I know a lot of consultants who are like already at the forefront and already helping people build AI fluency and AI literacy as well. So I think we can be those AI literacy champions that we're known to be like, oh, if you need to figure out what AI tool to use for grants or whatever the case might be, like this is the person who can help you and make sure your data is protected or make sure that your one other thing is like sometimes you can use a tool and it's actually adding more work then
Yeah.
great. Like you spend more time editing it and stuff. And I don't think a lot of the clients we serve have the time to do the whole trial and error process. So if you've done that, that's a value add for your clients is you can say, hey, like I've gone through all these, nope, pass, but here's one that I think is useful. And these are the things, this is how I would advise like ideal uses and what you should avoid. So I just think it's something
Yeah.
that as the public health landscape changes, I think this is like something that we can offer on top of what we are already doing.
I like that. I think like your example of, grant writers, when you are in a certain niche, this is what you do. Once you master or perfect it and it works for you, then you have an opportunity to add a service to a client
Yeah.
or either train your colleagues who are doing, because the grant writers know other grant
Yes.
writers.
Yes. That's just one example. And another piece I hope you don't mind me plugging for
Yeah.
is as public health professionals and entrepreneurs, we tend to be people who are really open and passionate about the things we're doing. All public health professionals are, but I think we're also very vocal. And I think we have a role in advocacy and policy because it's really going to be something that we're going to have to protect the communities and make sure that if it's just at the organizational level, or maybe there's things like in different realms that you're a part of, you can advocate for protection of youth, protection of mental health, like, environmental protections. I hope that that's something that our community can really lean into because we're going to need all hands on deck for keeping AI, safe
Yeah.
and having a healthy future with AI.
I think that's a great point. I like that too. Yeah, this is a great time to lean into that. I won't say it's like our responsibility. I think we're naturally, going to want to protect our communities. That's what we
Yes.
do. So really taking that AI, tucking that into, maybe your portfolio for advocating because, yeah, that's an opportunity for leading.
Mm-hmm.
So what strategies or maybe best practices would you recommend for professionals who are looking to evaluate AI tools?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll plug again our workshop, but we have a framework specifically in our workshop. So I printed it out because I want to make sure I highlighted some of them. So we talk about like the patient ID, what's the model? So understanding like what the model is, when it was last updated, for example, temperature check, is it safe? So this has to do with the privacy piece. Is it protecting patient data? Pulse, how is it trained? Does the training data represent bias? So these are all things we've kind of touched on already. Blood pressure, is it reliable? So does it hallucinate, right? Does it come up with things that are not true? So that is also very much possible. And then like finally, is it applicable? Like, is it something that, like I also mentioned, is it going to add more work or is it going to merge into the workflows or is it going to be something totally different that we're going to be doing? So that's kind of the overall questions that you can ask.
I love that I understood some of the stuff on the list.
Yeah. You're ahead of the curve. I'm telling you, Dr. Huntley.
So I'm curious now, in the workshop, do you explain like the differences in some of the learning models and what hallucination means? Like, is that all explained in the workshop?
Yeah. So there's
Okay.
like an initial piece that really is just how does AI work? One of the pieces that
Okay.
I think it's like an aha moment is
Yeah.
comparing search engines and AI chatbots. Some people are
Yeah.
just using AI chatbot as if it's like a search engine. And well, now search engines also have AI overviews. So that's a whole nother ballgame. But, instead of it just finding information, it processes information. So you could take it to
Hmm.
another level that you could never do from searching alone. That is
Yeah.
always like a distinction that people appreciate.
I'm excited because that's something that I learned. And that is actually what helps using it internally to help my
Yes,
team know when to go to one tool versus the other.
exactly.
Because there are times I do not want any hallucination
Oh, yeah,
at all.
absolutely. Yes, definitely. And there's different tools that, cite their sources. Some tools just kind of bunch everything together and they'll give you a gobbledygook of what they found online. And some are more clear of like, okay, this is where I got this different information. So
Yeah.
there's a variety of tools out there.
This is exciting. I'm excited about this conversation, about the resources available. If I have someone who's listening and they're going, wait a minute, I don't know what they're talking about, and they just wanted to like work with you one-on-one, do you offer that as a service at all?
I mean, totally open to it. We're definitely in that phase of like, what do the people need and what do they want? And we kind of want to meet people at that stage. So if a workshop isn't the right fit, if that one-on-one is what people are looking for more so, that's something that my sister, she has her organization, Ami.ai. They have been providing those like one-on-one audits. So that's something that we can also offer. That's what people want. Like we're totally in that development stage, essentially, for the products and services for the healthcare space and the public health space.
Oh, I have one more question too. For the workshop, is it available like on demand? Is there a version that they could just sign up for and take it at their own pace?
That is something that we have definitely considered. And if there's demand for that, that's like how people would like to access that information, definitely reach out and we can make that happen. Currently, we've been doing it live, like virtually, but live. And we did a kind of hybrid. We had one of our, Fatima was there and we were virtual. It can be virtually done as a live workshop or recorded or, there's different ways to go about it.
I can see the value of the live for sure, something like this, because it's new and you're just not exactly sure what to pack in and what questions may emerge. So that sounds like it may be the best way to go. But
yeah, we like doing that engagement. We like doing the tailoring to that audience. So I think that also resonates when people can say, oh, they're speaking my language. They're introducing something new, but they understand like what my needs and what my work looks like.
Great. Okay. So I appreciate all of this. Thank you for taking time and chatting with me and sharing all of this for our audience. For listeners who are interested in following with you, I'm going to add links in the show notes, but what's the best place for them to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our website, zrfgroup.com. So we have a contact page on there. You can check out more about our workshop there as well. And then I'm on LinkedIn personally, Zainab Shipchandler, as well as our company page. I will plug Ami.ai newsletter, and Ruqayya Akbari and Fatima Shipchandler also on LinkedIn. And that's just the type of things like we are just talking about all the time and sharing there. And stay tuned. I would say please reach out if any of these things appeal to you. And I'm excited to continue this conversation.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. We'll have to have you come back in the future with more updates because AI is always changing quickly, right?
There's so much. That's why I don't want people to stress out. I'm like, if once you know the basics, I think, everything will seem more manageable. So that's our goal. And thank you again, Dr. Huntley, for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you for being here, Zainab. And we'll be in touch for sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening. Visit publichealthentrepreneurs.com to learn more.